but we'll see. So we don't have that feature that Franak was talking about for security. So is there anybody that looks suspicious in the room? You know, anybody suspicious in the room? Anybody like with a name like Lukashenko or something? Is there anybody that looks suspicious in the room? You know, anybody suspicious in the room? Anybody like with a name like Lukashenko or something? Is it a delay in the, because I hear my voice like 30 seconds after?
I think it's going to YouTube somewhere. Can you, Franak?
Sorry, just to confirm, do you want me to go ahead and start admitting? There's about 40 people in the waiting room, so do you want me to start?
Just two seconds. Let's Franak respond to what Anna asked, and then we'll do that.
Franak is in, it's on YouTube?
Yes, it is on YouTube already, just right now.
Okay.
Okay, so you could let them in, and then we'll just take it from there. And then we make some announcements at the beginning. Okay. Let's see what I see here. Oh, so Peter is in the.
Peter is here.
Good. Hi, Peter. Okay, so is everybody in?
Yeah.
Perfect. So, dear audience, so we'll start in 5 minutes.
I think I will delete our YouTube and I will create again, because if in 5 minutes we don't want people to watch it, right?
No, we could start any moment. So if everybody's in, good. So if everybody's in, then Anna could start.
Hi everybody, my name is Anna Tadevosyan and I'm talking to you from Yerevan, Armenia. I want to thank you everybody for being here today with us for the first virtual world learning event dedicated to sports. This program is part of the International Sports Programming Initiative at State Department Sports Diplomacy Exchange Program implemented by World Learning. This webinar is produced by World Learning and Digital Communication Network. It's a coalition of digital influencers for improving the information space supported by US Department of State Office of Citizen Exchanges. Today our topic is what can young athletes, coaches, and sports administrators do during this period of social isolation and distancing caused by COVID-19 crisis. This webinar is a brainstorming session on how to continue to practice, love sports, and help young women and men behave responsibly during this health crisis. As you see, we have speakers from all over the world, and we have two commentators. It's Professor Nikos Panayotou from Thessaloniki, Greece, and Vlad Spencer from World Learning in United States. And I want to start with the video for a 3-minute video. I'll share now my screen and we'll start. And please also turn off your microphones so everybody can listen. Okay, so I will start the video.
Вечера peace.
You also are young women in the year 2020, and I think it's more likely now for you to play than it was for me when I was a little girl. And there's a lot of people out there who are willing to support you and to say yes you can, and to give you the kind of encouragement as a coach.
Don't have tennis courts at our place in New York City, but we have something you guys don't have, which is a lot of this. 15 floors, baby.
Thank you for watching. And as you see, I put together a small video showing how people are trying to overcome this crisis and stay at home and still practice and be healthy. So I will pass now the microphone to Vlad so we can start with the speakers. And okay.
Thank you for being with us. Obviously, we'd all rather be, either practicing or, exercising or watching games these days, but unfortunately, it's not possible. We have to behave responsibly, and obviously, this is the global crisis, and we are more or less all in the same situation. Just a few words about, who's here with us today, and some of the people that I'm going to mention are actually in the audience. I hope that, in the audience, I don't see the list here in front of me. We have Ryan Murphy from the Sports Diplomacy at US State Department. And if he's with us, then we'll ask him to say a few words at the end to let us know about, what they do. But in general, what you have here is people who have been either participants or partners of World Learning in sports diplomacy programs we've done over the last, say, 7 or 8 years. So that's the reason you see, we used to have programs in Armenia and Turkey, then we had all North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa. We had a program in Colombia, and hopefully Dorian is going to be also with us. But the idea is that we wanted to bring everybody together. And when we started the idea of this webinar, actually Ryan asked me if this is more or less kind of a preparation session rather than actual webinar. And the answer is that it is a little bit of both. So we wanted to bring together all our friends and partners and participants, all of you being passionate about the idea of using sports as an educational tool, and talk to all of you, basically what is going on in your country, region. The second question might be, what is the impact? You all work with young people, some of them kids, some of them, young athletes. And obviously, there's a psychological impact, and there are all kinds of impacts that we need to talk a little bit and to address collectively, because we are all in the same situation. And also, if you have any ideas, things that you did, things that you heard being done by others, how to mitigate, how to, on one hand, behave responsibly, and on the other hand, to be able to continue this love, this passion for sports, and continue to be active, physically. It's good for the health, but it's also good for the mind. Just, a couple of words about, what Zoom allowed me to do. So what you see in my background behind me is one of the things that we miss the most, the real exchange. So what you see, participants in the exchange and guests. So I have this as a background, as a reminder that one day this is going to be over. We are all going to be victorious if you behave responsibly. And at the same time, we'll go back to what we all love to do. That means, being around sports people, doing sports, and loving sport. So that being said, Anna, please, give the microphone the floor, the imaginary floor, the virtual floor, in any order that you think is good. So please, 3 or 4 minutes, each one of you, and hopefully in the audience, we're going to get some questions, some ideas. For the audience, there is a chat option in Zoom, where you could actually write the questions, and this makes it easier because the moderators can look at the questions, actually select them, and ask the speakers. Or there is an option for you to raise your imaginary hand and signal that you'd like to speak via the microphone. Let's make this dynamic, short, and hopefully it's going to be a useful conversation, useful for everybody who wants to, mitigate and to, fulfill this passion for sports throughout this difficult period. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Vlad. I also want to mention that we have my colleagues here, Laurel and Aaron, will help us with if we have chat questions, so they will monitor, they will help me. So I would like to start with Dr. Arezou, because this is hard time for everybody, and mostly in introverts. And so I want her to explain how to deal with this crisis now. Dr. Arezou.
Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everybody. I hope everyone is healthy and safe through this global pandemic. So just a little bit of my background. I am a licensed clinical psychologist. I've done sports psychology on the side. I do a lot of trauma work in my own practice. And so the goal of today for me is to talk a little bit about 7 main factors of looking at mental health with athletes. There's no primary order of this, of what is, the most important, what not. I think all areas are. I think when working with athletes, whether you're parents, coaches, referees, it doesn't matter what your role is or where your dynamic is with the athlete. There's certain things that is important to keep in mind with mental health. One is routine, especially now more than ever. Routine is really important. Keeping that structure of your exercise, of your time, how much time you're putting in, not losing track of that. And that's really easy to lose track of. When you are used to waking up early in the morning and going out for a run at 5 in the morning, or, hitting the gym at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and doing your workout at the gym. So it's crucial to keep that schedule, maintaining that schedule. So routine is the first thing that I want to highlight. Second one, social support system. That's very important. Connecting like this, something like this. This is amazing. This is, using virtual connection as a way of having athletes connecting with each other. And that community, that sense of community is very important right now. And not being in that feeling of isolation, because the more the athletes are able to connect with each other, communicate with each other, the more they're going to feel that sense of belonging and not that isolation feeling. So that's factor number 2. Factor number 3, physical activity should still be a must. So, you have to become creative. Like in the video that Anna showed, you have to really get creative in how you're going to stay physical, how you're going to, continuously do your workouts within the home, in the backyard, in the front yard, you know, getting creative, using your steps or, you know, jump ropes, whatever you can find to, you know, utilize your space and creating your own gym and doing workouts in the gym. I had one individual that in their backyard on their fence, they drew a football goal, and they were just kicking the ball against the fence, which, you know, that's creative. You know, that's what you have to do. You have to get really creative in how you get your works out in the day. Number 4, and I know I'm going through this super quick because we're, you know, we want to make sure everybody has time to talk. But please welcome to, you know, send me questions later. Number 4 is, depends on the age developmentally with the athlete, but it's important. It's the role of the parents. I think parents need to be in a good place as well. And they are role models to the kids, to the athletes. And how, as parents, we are showing these kids how we are handling the stress, because they watch us. We're their model. So they watch us, they are sponges, they absorb, they look at us. And if we're stressed and we're anxious and we're panicking, then they're going to think that's how they need to respond and react to this pandemic. And so as parents, as coaches, we have to be super mindful of how we're presenting our own stuff in front of them, and, you know, making sure we're in a good place. And when we're working with our athletes, we're showing that resiliency, that this is going to be okay. We will get through this. I think that's really critical, especially with the younger athletes. Number 5, okay, limiting news exposure. So I want to really highlight and emphasize that, you know, having the TV on from morning till night, and the athletes are practicing in another room, or, you know, that they hear it and they're constantly, it's in their mind constantly, and it's not healthy. It doesn't help. You know, what I tell my patients is, listen, I get it. You want to know what's going on. You want to be informed, and that's great. And I think that's important, but maybe just limiting it to 30 minutes a day, you can really recap and get the information you need in 30 minutes. The TV does not need to be on from 9 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night on a news channel, because it is a lot and it can really impact you negatively and emotionally. And so we have to be mindful of how much we're absorbing from that. Number 6, being present, being in the moment. It is so easy for us to immediately go into this mindset of all the negative things that could happen, all the bad things that could happen. What if I fail? What if I don't play well? What if the season starts and I'm not in a good shape? So we have to be really mindful of being in the moment. What can I do today? What are some things I can focus on today? Which goes into my last and most important factor, is focusing on what we have control over. There's a lot that we don't have control. But really focusing on things that we can control in our own environment. You know, I always tell patients, we can't control external factors. We cannot control the environment. What we can control is our own behavior, our own actions, our own reaction to the situation. So the pandemic is something we don't have control over. But what I have control over is how I'm going to react to it. I can either get really anxious, really sad, really depressed. I can allow it to be a barrier for me, or I can look at it as an opportunity of doing things differently and improving in other areas that I didn't even think would be an opportunity. So those are the 7 factors that, you know, I wanted to highlight today. Again, I know this could be like a full day lecture, but feel free if you have questions, you're welcome to, and maybe Balad, we could, send out my email address to everyone. If anyone wants to reach out to me directly, I'd be happy to correspond that way as well.
Definitely, and we'll do that. I have a quick question.
Yes.
You hear me, yeah? So
I can hear you, yes.
A young person comes to you and says, look, that means, sure, pandemic, everybody could take it. However, less likely to impact young people. Why do I have to be disciplined? It's not going to impact me as much as maybe an elderly population. What would be the response to that?
So I just want to clarify your question. So you're saying if someone comes to me there's a young person and they're saying, well, this isn't really going to impact me.
Correct.
Okay.
Why do I have to stop practicing? Why do I have to, follow the social distancing?
Right. And I think, my response to that is that, well, you're not going to stop practicing. You can practice. You just have to get creative in how you're going to practice. You might not be able to have, the typical practice with your teammates or with the team out in the field, but you're still, again, it goes to that routine, keeping that structure, and continuing that process. But with, the social distancing, it's more of, okay, well, you've got, looking at it in another perspective of, you still have virtual connections. You're still connecting, you're connecting with other people, you're communicating with other people. It's all about perspective, and if we just shift the way we look at this, if we look at it as it's very black and white, I either practice with, out in the field with my team or I don't. Well, when we think that way, we're not giving ourselves that flexibility to be open-minded about other ways and other opportunities to address this. So I think I would just challenge them on that, to just see things in a little bit different way.
Can I ask another question if we have time?
Yeah, just quick, and then we'll go quickly around there.
All right, thank you. Vlad, in response to your question and your answer, when we get back, when this whole crisis is over, I'm looking at, if we train our athletes, we need to tell them what to do. You don't need to do that. What precisely to work on, because we can't work on anything. And what I'm looking at, what I'm focusing on is the mental part about being really frustrated, because we had a set of abilities that we cannot save or we cannot work on right now. And when we get back out there, some kid or some girl gonna tell me, I used to do it very well, now I can't do it. So what can I say to them?
Yeah, definitely. And again, when you ask questions, please introduce yourselves, because it doesn't. We're not CNN yet to actually have the subtitle.
For sure. My name is Yaniv Ronel. I'm from Jerusalem, Israel. I'm head of a basketball club in Israel and part of the competitive sports unit for the Hebrew University.
Thank you.
And I'm here on behalf of Hoops for Peace basketball organization. So that's me.
Perfect. So Anna, let's continue.
So if you have an answer, I would like to hear that.
Sure. If anybody has an answer, maybe quickly.
What do you recommend to say for the athletes when we go back?
Yeah.
We can answer that later. It's gonna take a while.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do that first, and then we'll gather the questions.
We'll come back to that question. Thank you, Dr. Arizzo. Very nice advices, I think. And if you will have questions to Dr. Arizzo, please post it in chat, and my colleagues will ask the questions as you post. Our next speaker is Susan Potts. She's the Director of Athletes for Hope from USA. Susan, please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us. And Dr. Arizzo, we definitely want to get your contact information. I was taking such copious notes when you were talking, because I feel like this really relates to everybody. I'm in Austin, Texas, and Athletes for Hope is actually based out of Washington, D.C., but there are several of us that are remote. So we are so thrilled to be here today. We work with professional Olympic and student athletes across the US and parts of the globe to educate them about sports philanthropy, to connect them to causes that they're passionate about, and to recognize those efforts on social and traditional media. So we're a nonprofit, and we've been just trying to connect athletes to causes for the past 13 years. We were started by Muhammad Ali, Mia Hamm, Andre Agassi, an incredible base of athletes, which has now propelled us into over 7,000 athletes across 25 different sports and leagues. I think I just want to touch on what we do. And I know later we're going to talk about how that has changed for us. But we basically, to Dr. Arzu's point, in a period of great change and growth. I think a lot of innovation and learning are happening with our organization right now. And the biggest thing that I took away from your talking points were being flexible and not getting stuck in, well, this is how we've always done things. We're really having to kind of pivot into a new way of thinking when we work with athletes. So we're hearing from our student athletes who are frustrated, depressed, anxious, sad. And so looking at ways that we can address mental health advocacy and things like that, especially the health disparities. So Anna, I don't know if you want me to touch on what we're doing or you want me to stop with our introductions?
No, what are you doing in these times of crisis? Or what you advise to your athletes? Are they doing like practicing at home, or you prepare some special program for them?
Great question. Yeah, so typically we were doing workshops in front of groups of athletes. We were going out and meeting with, the Redskins or LSU student athletes. And so that has obviously stopped. So what we've done is created opportunities for our athletes to volunteer online or from home. So we've been sending out opportunities to connect in their communities. We have worked to create AFH Fit at Home, which is a series of videos that we have on our YouTube channel. You can just look up Athletes for Hope on YouTube and you'll find a series of videos every week that we're dropping. And we've had overwhelming number of athletes that want to submit just one or two things that they're doing at home, and then we're putting them together every day now. We've had so many videos come in, we're able to put out content every day. So student athletes, professional athletes, Fridays we have a fun day where they're doing games. We're also doing a Classroom Champions partnership where once or twice a week, we're gonna have a pro athlete go live on Facebook and talk to partners, as well as putting out words of hope. So our founders are all putting together words of hope for people just to inspire and connect. And we're asking our athlete base to do the same for their, friends, family, coaches, community. So we're excited to do more work in the virtual space and hopefully step into more virtual workshops, hospital visits, and so on.
And for everybody who's watching and including the speakers, we have all your emails as you registered. So we'll, give you links to everything that is said here, because organizations like Athletes for Hope, Basketball Embassy, other organizations represented here are amazing in this field, and you should be connected. And actually one of the goals of this webinar, the virtual series, is to connect you with people that you could continue to work with during these difficult times, but even beyond. So don't worry, we'll give you links and we'll give you connections and emails and all the other stuff.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Susan. Thank you very much. And we'll come to the questions later after all the speakers. So now I want to introduce you to Abdullah Ibrahim Al-Makawi from Bahrain. He's analyst for Bahrain U19 football national team, and he's one of our participants in our sports programs. Abdullah, can you hear us?
Yeah, hi, Anna.
Okay, hi.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to say that I'm extremely honored to be with some distinguished speakers and guests over here. And I want to remind everyone that we're on this together. So this moment is for us together, and we will pull through one day. As for what we do, as Anna said, I work professionally with the Under-19 national team. I'm the team analyst. And as far as our training program is concerned, that training program is actually going on a daily basis. We work on a remotely capacity with the players. So they have mainly a fitness program that they have to attend to every day. And there's a lot of feedback and observation from the coaches from distance. So it's mainly to do with their fitness levels, because there's only so much you can do from a professional capacity level. But I wanted to touch upon something that is extremely important. I mean, one of football legends is Johan Cruyff, and he says that in every disadvantage, there is an advantage. And I agree with that strongly, because I think in this time, it's a massive opportunity for every athlete, coach, and everyone involved in sports to remind themselves about two main things. Number one, there hasn't been any time before for us as athletes or coaches to really slow down, in a word, so fast, to take time, reflect, and look back at everything we've been doing and everything that we want to do after this finish. So it's a good time for us to look back at what we were doing before, and if it really matches our principles and ambitions and dreams, and reflect on what ways can we improve and in what ways can we make ourselves better athletes or coaches. So not even post-season, not even a pre-season is flexible enough for us to really have no deadline, no understanding of when will this be over. So this time there's a unique opportunity for us to work without pressure and to kind of reflect on our inner self more and invest on our mental health and our dreams and hopes after this is over. Another thing, which is far more important in my opinion, which is it's a good time for athletes to understand that, especially the young ones, that they are more than just an athlete, because they're a person, they're a whole, and they have an identity. And this identity should not be blended with the identity of an athlete so much that when they face something like that, they struggle to live with it. Because believe it or not, this is a blessing. Every athlete is exposed to have an early retirement, career injury, or for example, they get something in their life that forces them to leave sports so early, and they cannot live with adversity. They cannot live with this ambiguity of what's going to happen now. Football is all I know, or basketball is all I know. So at this moment is really important, in my opinion, for them to sit down, to realize that even though we are great athletes, we are much more, and sports should drive our personal aspirations and our personal hopes, but it should not be the ultimate end, because one day, even if you don't face any injury, you'll get 37, 39, and then you'll have to stop. And here begins a different word for you. And if you're not ready, then I don't know what's going to happen to you. So this time, everyone is kind of having the same way of thinking, that we can only do so much. But believe me, as the doctor said, you can get really creative as a coach and as a player. And you can work even on your tactical understanding of the game, which requires team members to be present. But if you're creative enough, you can work on your cognitive capacity within the game, or your technical capacity within the game. So I don't think it's something that we should get frustrated with, as much as it's something, or it's an opportunity for us to really look at the sports or the game from a different perspective.
Abdullah, I think it would be interesting as we go around the world a little bit, maybe to tell us a little bit of what is the situation in relation to coronavirus in Bahrain.
You mean
and we could do this with every single speaker. Yeah, that means cases in terms of how serious seems to be, and what the country doing in order to mitigate and in order to behave responsibly.
I mean, as for our situation as a country, I think the government is doing an extremely good job. Everyone, I think, would share the same feeling, because the way they have responded to that, or even the way they took measures before it even happened, allowed us to have one of the best recovery rates in the world. And this is the thing that makes everyone here a little bit more relaxed than they should be, because they think, or they feel, that they're protected with good leadership. And as I told you, we don't have any curfews, we don't have any laws forced upon us to stay at home, but the public or the people are doing this by themselves, because they know better. They know that this is the way they can protect the other, and this is the way we can pull out together as a nation. So I think it's relatively stable. Stable is not the word right now, but it's relatively stable. I don't know if it can be better, but I think this is the best we can do as a nation and as a government. And I'm very hopeful that if we continue at the same rate and with the same measures and understanding and wisdom, I think we can pull through. So that's what's happening in Bahrain.
Thank you.
Thank you. And one more question I have here, Abdullah. As you work with the young athletes, how they take it? Do you have coaches talking to them constantly, or do we have doctors talking to them? I mean, it's hard for them to be locked in the houses and not go out and practice, and what's coming for their futures, for the clubs and all, etc. How you do this? How you deal with it?
I think it's something that we worked on without even realizing. This is the importance of building bridges before everything happened. So personally, I have a great relationship individually with each and every single player that I work with, and they know that they can always reach out to me. So in these difficult times, they are actually making sure that they're staying connected to me. And I personally work with different athletes as well, different individuals on a personal capacity. So they came in for consultation, they came in for individual programs, and I've created these small programs with cycles extending to 1 week to 2 weeks for them to stay active and to work on something that they've missing. So for example, a player came to me and asked me, I have this flow in my game and I don't know how to work on that point exactly. So I sat down with him and I had a Zoom interview, and then we drew a whole program for this athlete to work on this program by himself or by herself. So for most of our players, especially our players, because we're working with around 30 players, because it's professional national team level. So we get the top of the top athletes in Bahrain. And because we build good bridges with them, now we find it very easy to navigate how they should work on themselves remotely from us. So that is what we are doing right now.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much, Abdullah. And we'll move to our next speaker, Peter Lewis. He's a founder and executive director of Arkiswa School. He's based in Tanzania, and now let's see how they are dealing with the crisis and what's the situation in Tanzania. Peter?
And before Peter starts, I just want to mention that Peter's students came for an exchange that we did in cooperation with Athletes for Hope. Amazing, girls, good at basketball, good at everything, extremely impressive. Unfortunately, the outbound exchange, the exchange in Tanzania is postponed now, but we are looking forward to be there and meet with you and the athletes, because they're really impressive and they deserve the best.
Yeah, well, great. Well, thank you all so much for having me. And this is, I see this as a great networking opportunity, as I'm here in Princeton, New Jersey, sort of trapped in my my home here, away from Tanzania actually now. So yes, I'm my name is Peter Lewis, and I'm the founder director of a school called Arkiswa School. I'm also the director of a basketball development program called Grow the Game, which focuses on girls' youth development, from girls coming up from the 2nd and 3rd grade all the way up to the U16 and the U18 girls national team, which I have been coaching in Tanzania for the past, I guess it's about 4 years now. And so those opportunities have been really incredible, and given us opportunities to partner with some of you who are here on the call. I think in Tanzania, one of the things that's making our situation a little bit unique, when just hearing others talk about the work that they're doing, is technology and our lack of it. So we don't have, our kids don't have phones, our kids don't have computers, our kids don't have televisions. And even when we think about their parents, if their parents have a telephone. It's not a big fancy smartphone. It's probably a little talk and text Nokia or something like that. So I'm really interested to hear and listen from you all today, as we don't have a lot of programming going on for our children right now in Tanzania. One of the things we're trying to do is actually speak to the families through their parents' cell phones, and really what our focus is not actually basketball development right now. It's actually their personal safety. So in Tanzania, you've got over 25% of teenage girls are pregnant, and about 27% of girls get pregnant in their teenage years in Tanzania. So that is a constant battle. And now you can imagine, with all the girls home, you can imagine there's a lot of, all the university graduates are back in the villages. A lot of the young men who work as security guards in other communities. We're based in near Arusha, Tanzania. So Nairobi and Mombasa and other places where these young men work, a lot of these businesses are closed down, so they've come home. So we're basically sort of like focusing on baseline protection of how do we keep our kids safe through this challenging time. Yeah, I'm interested to learn and hear, and maybe some people have some ideas from how do you work with kids when you don't have that technological link to them, and you can't do video with them, and you can't send them workout plans and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, thank you all for the work that you're doing. The situation in Tanzania, Vlad wanted us to talk a little bit about. So what we're seeing is about a little over 50 cases now confirmed, which we all know means there are thousands of cases probably. The testing, if you think there's a problem of testing here in the US or other places, you can imagine what testing like is in Tanzania, one of the worst healthcare situations in the world. You want to talk about ventilators, we don't have them. There's a handful of them in the whole country. So yeah, we're really concerned about that, and we're very worried about what will be the outcome there as the cases continue to grow. So like I said, around 50 confirmed cases, and growing every day, but growing quite slowly. And I think that has to do with the testing. We're trying to do, on the COVID prevention, we're trying to do outreach via our alumni. So our school has been in existence for 12 years. And so we've got a number of alumni who are now back living. They're in university or they've graduated and work at our school. So we're sending them a lot of information and actually printing infographics and other things from the government. And the alumni are out in the villages, taking them around and speaking to the families in these rural Maasai villages where we work, and trying to have those conversations about what prevention looks like and things like that. So we're in a bit of a unique situation here, and just doing everything we can to on the mitigation side and to keep our girls and boys safe as well. There's some wonderful people on this call that I really want to connect with after the call, and I'm really excited to hear some of your work, and I really look forward out to you after this call and sharing more.
Thank you, Peter. I'm sure that after all speakers, we will brainstorm and see what we can do in different cases, and mostly for the girls in Tanzania, or everybody, kids in Tanzania, because I think it's very important. We have some, from UEFA, we have some programs that we can send to you, and you can share with the girls. You can just call the parents and tell them what they need to do and how they need to practice. So I think that after all, we will have lots of ideas how to do it. And thank you for your input. Thank you. So we will move on, and our next speaker will be Firat Ozdalyan. He's from Turkey. He's a basketball coach, and now he's a lecturer in the Faculty of Sports Science in Dokuz Eylül University in Izmir. He's one of our first
to stay at home as much as possible. So during this time, the schools are closed, the university courses are closed, so everybody stays at home. And so we have to keep on teaching online. Education keeps still going online. So I'm real busy with, in my daily time, I'm real busy with those online courses. Even I'm staying home, I'm really busy. I want when this situation is over. So during this time, Dr. Arizo, but most of them are young people, so there's we are not waiting a big problem about them, about their health situation. And so there's no curfew in Turkey, but younger people, because 20 years old and younger than 20 years people, they may show no symptoms, but they can still spread this virus to other people. They can still infect other people, even they don't have any symptoms. So 20 years and younger have to stay at home as much as possible. And thank you for letting me share my opinions, and I'm waiting for my other round to give you some more examples, or if we have time, I can give you some examples right now too.
We'll get to that after, and we'll have more webinars like this, so we'll have the opportunity to share our experiences.
All right.
Now,
here the situation in Spain is very difficult. We have 180,000 people infected and almost 20. This situation is going to be is especially difficult because of the economical and structural point of view, because this is going to make a change. This is going to, we are going to view. This is a break. We can slow down. We have time to reflect, and we have time to focus in other sides, other points.
This website by translating and giving the articles about football, about techniques anywhere. And I think here in this group, we can make this platform bigger and get lots of languages in this website.
I have when this sports activity might be resumed in Spain, considering how hard the country was hit?
I think in front of the audience in September, not before September. Because probably the La Liga, it will continue, but with the stadiums closed.
Good, thank you. I'm not going to ask you what's your favorite thing, because
our work, especially in Europe and parts of the Middle East. Got some friends from Turkey on this thread, and Firat, I'm looking forward to connecting with you after this as well. Dr. Taram is here. And then I've got some folks here from our organization. As you guys are participating in that chat, if you're not in the chat, there's some really good exchanges going on. So, please make sure you guys hop on there. But Zach Mason is working with our organization, Eric Batoni and Mary Olin Jaffet. These are all sports-minded, like-minded people that are on this. We're fortunate that we've got some incredible partners, and we've got a platform to where we can do that. So we've created videos, online sessions, and we're using our network to pulse those out to those kids wherever we can. So these boys and girls are getting online, and they're seeing, their coaches, and they're seeing their peers, and they're participating, the best way that they can. We run into resource issues, even in not everybody having a court. But all of that said, I told Laurel that I wanted to share with you guys a couple of really good resources. Right now, some partners and friends of mine just in this situation that are giving away their platforms for free. The Ballogy app, it's BALLOGY in English.com. You can go there, download the app for free right now. Coaches, you can reach out through that. A partner of mine that these are super fortunate plugs that I'm being able to make today is trainthemind.com. If you go to Train the Mind, and Dr. Rizzo, you would love these guys as well. they're giving away their platform for free right now, free subscriptions, but you get to interact with sports professionals in mental skills training, which I think right now are absolutely essential to our young athletes all the way up to our professionals, about the power of staying present and how we can keep things in perspective. Graham Betchart's a good friend of mine in San Francisco, and he's one of the best in the world at training professional athletes, especially basketball players, on how to keep their wits about them right now in these times. So please take advantage of those resources. One other one really quickly, if you go to summit.coachesclinic.com, and Laurel's sharing this to everybody right now on cue. It's an incredible lineup of coaches from the NBA all the way down to nobodies like myself that have done clinics and sessions on different technical elements. Most of it's basketball specific, but there are some that address sports mentalities in general. So I think, and they're in English, but I think they're very valuable and they're free again, and can come to you via the internet. So, we're just trying to be adaptive. It's one of the most important, characteristics that an individual or an organization can have. We're here to help. I'm here to help. Please reach out. Again, I just want to thank our friends at World Learning and the Sports Diplomacy Division of our State Department for continuing to work during these times to try to help use sport to connect, dissolve barriers, and sort of, fight some of these circumstances that we're in.
Before continuing, and I just looked at the chat participant room, and the last time I looked, there are like 76 people watching this, which is a good number all over the world. So it's very exciting. I saw a few people that actually were part of our program. I mean, Araz actually is from Lebanon. He's a medical professional, and so we need to say here, kind of collectively, how grateful we are for all the medical professionals actually active during this horrible crisis. I see Hicham from Morocco, Jennifer Hoffman, Lilith, Matt Lyons from Atlanta, Tal Amar. So a bunch of people who are part of our program and others, part of different networks. So I want to thank them before advancing to the next speaker for being with us. And this is going to be a series of webinars because this one is very successful and very important.
Thank you, Peter. And I want to introduce you to our next speaker. It's Manuk Sargsyan from Armenia. He's a head coach of Armenian women's national team, created just a month ago. So I want him to tell a little bit how he started this series of online exercising. Manuk.
Hello everyone. I'm Manuk, the national team from Armenia. When this whole situation began, we started online practicing 3 times in the week. First, we got the opportunity to control their field. Second, the players feel that we're with them. Third, of course, their physical field. Online practicing help us overcome this situation. I'm an analysis coach. I have a lot of time to work on my tasks, explore tactical situation, and review what I have already done. I want to use this whole time mindful, and when will this situation stop, we call continue our work. And if any country's team need our help during practicing, I'm always ready to help. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Manuk. And I think we will come back on this because we'll need probably to do more fitness practicing, and Manuk and some of the girls from national team will help us to host these online practices. And for the good part, our last speaker here is Franak Viachorka from Belarus, the only, I think, one of the only football leagues that's still going on, and nobody's paying attention on virus, and they are not afraid of virus. So Franak, let's see what you have and what's the situation there and how the league is continuing and how nothing is stopped so far.
Hi, everyone. So hi from Minsk. So I think Belarus these days is the most sportive country in the world. So even coronavirus didn't manage to stop Belarus from playing football. And this Sunday, I tried to attend the football game. My father was super against, and he said that he will kill me if I'll go. But my colleagues, journalists from German-French channel Arte, they just like forced me to go to the match and to see how it's happening, because that's the only active professional football league in the world which is still playing. And that's very funny to see how a professional clubs fans, Premier League's fans, becoming fans of Belarus provincial football teams. So I will show you some pictures and some videos, if you don't mind. I hope you see my screen, right? So this is our main football player, and he's the best football player, ice hockey player, everything player. And but you know, in Belarus, sports, it's a part of the ideology in the bad sense. So it's not something, you know, like promotion of sports, it's a part like of being responsible, active member of the society, but it's more about do sports, not politics, do sports, but don't touch, you know, social issues. And when coronavirus happened, everything was mixed because president, he, instead of fighting coronavirus, he began demonstrating how sportive he is. So he basically played everyday ice hockey. He played everyday like football. He organized the ice hockey tournament. And he said that if we will be playing sports, coronavirus will not kill us. So in this interview,
лучше умереть стоя, чем жить на коленях. Здесь нет вирусов никаких. Вот ты же не заметила, что они летают? И я тоже не вижу.
Lukashenko has consistently played down.
I don't know if you hear, but basically he explained that when you are playing ice hockey, the COVID cannot survive because it's too cold. And the same reason for football, besides recommendations, like opposite in protest of recommendations of World Health Organizations, which recommended to cancel all the sports events, including football, games continued. And this week, this Sunday, 2 days ago, I went to the football game between two major football clubs. And I saw hundreds of people waiting in line. So the temperature was measured at the entrance, of course, but nobody kept distance, and majority of people really didn't wear mask. And I can't explain this phenomenon, you know, or people really don't afraid of virus, or they really love sports, so they prefer, you know, to be vulnerable or risk to virus, but to attend their favorite club game. I cannot explain, but I think it's like the situation how it shouldn't be. So sports is important. Getting people, especially young people, involved is critical, but it's always important to put people's lives and health on the first place. So you can see that, of course, tribunes are not full, stadiums are half full, I would say, but everywhere on the TV and the public transportation, I see the advertising of these games, and authorities, unfortunately, do not want to take any measures to limit the attendance. Do you see the video?
Yeah.
Yes.
And interesting also case, that's I would say COVID sports entrepreneurship. So some businessmen, they began selling the virtual seats at the football games in Minsk. So you can pay 25 euros, and the company in Minsk will put your printed face on the seat, and you will be filmed like you're attending the game. So thousands of people from all over the world were able to put their mannequins on the stadiums in Belarus cities these days. So this actually case is interesting, and it's funny. This is also creative, and I think that's actually the good solution. Yes, we keep the social distance, but we don't give up our favorite sports. I'll stop here.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's about Belarus.
Thank you. Thank you, Franak. And I forgot to tell you that Franak also is a vice president of Digital Communication Network, our co-organizers today. Thank you, Franak. I think it's fascinating what's going on in Belarus, and hopefully no more cases will be after this football matches. Okay, here I want to give a microphone to Mr. Panayotou, so he will sum up what we talked till now, and also let's see if we have some questions to our speakers.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, everyone, for sharing these valuable thoughts. We have one actually question from Anna that she asked. The question addressed to Franak, and the question is the following: how will the pandemic financially impact the football industry? I mean, will there be reductions to the over-the-top football players' salaries? What do you think?
I think that's a question to everyone, especially
Yes.
here who are involved in the industry itself. So I think all the industries, not only the football one, will suffer and suffer a lot, but also it's as I showed in Belarus. Also, it opens some opportunities, for entrepreneurial and creative minds. So we will see. But perhaps other people here.
Yeah, maybe Ruben could, has more connection with the professional football. Maybe he could answer this question. If he's still with us.
Ruben?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, yeah.
Okay. Well, here in Spain, some clubs they try to get an agreement with the football players, because now stadiums are closed, so it's very difficult to the clubs to get money to pay for the salaries. But not all clubs try to did it, because of course this is a little bit complicated, because we don't know how long we are going to be in this situation, and clubs don't want to change the contractual situation with the players, because this can create problems for the future. But this is only with big clubs. Average clubs, medium clubs, all of them are trying to get some kind of agreement with players.
Okay, and would anyone else that would like to correspond to the question? I mean, how this will actually impact and soccer all across the world?
And I guess all other sports as well.
Yes, exactly. Actually, it's not only football. I would actually like to ask everyone also, what do you think the impact will be also in the digital communication, let's say, industry? Especially what about the TV stations that they have all these agreements in order to air these sports? What will be the impact regarding the Olympic Games that actually moved 1 year later? What do you think regarding these events?
Anybody could take this question? I think it's also mostly Ruben. It's connected to the professional sports.
Mm-hmm.
So the impact on TV rights and revenues for media, and the impact on the Olympics being postponed. Ruben, any thoughts?
Well, honestly, I'm not I'm not a specialist in this question, but this here La Liga and the government, they have been talking about this because most of the revenues of the clubs, at least a half of the revenues of football clubs, come from television rights. So this is going to create a really big impact in football. So also, you know, now we will have to move all the dates regarding to the leagues, regarding to the championship, and this will move all the championships further in the future. Every time we move a championship further, we are moving the revenues for the clubs further. So the impact, the economical impact, is going to be huge, but I think it's going to be huge in a short period of time. It's in a medium period of time. I think things are going to go back to the normality quite soon.
Yeah, hopefully, because you know the passion for sports is so intense that whenever the sports are going to start again, you know, all of us will be there definitely. So I would like, you know, because we are getting close to the closing time. So first of all, I want to tell you that you know, these webinars will continue. That means this is only the first series in a series. It is a brainstorming session, and we'll get to all of you and more people in the future as this period continues, hopefully not too long, to actually organize even in different formats, even more engaging, even trying something a little bit more experiential. But I would like to see if there is any way to at least hear, if not see, hopefully see also, Ryan Murphy, who is from the Sports Diplomacy Division of the US Department of State. They are the ones you know, sponsoring and overseeing and coordinating all these exchange programs. So this webinar is part of the exchange program that Ryan is in charge of, and I would like to hear his thoughts, you know, about, you know, how this period plays for them. Not talking about only about the fact that he's also, for lack of a better word, a sports fanatic. I know that when this whole thing started, Ryan was watching hockey games in Canada, in Los Angeles. So I assume that he's suffering tremendously for not being able to actually see sports. So Ryan, if you could, you know, maybe unmute your microphone, or if you have camera, we would like to hear from you if it is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully everyone can see and hear me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. So first and foremost, I just want to thank World Learning for putting on the seminar. It's great when everything is shifted to virtual programming and having to do everything online. It was great that they were able to assemble such a great list of speakers. And it's so nice to see so many familiar faces, people that I've met before, people I haven't met yet. So thank you all for participating in this. From the US Department of State's standpoint, we obviously, what we do are people-to-people exchanges. Those are the programs that we fund through our partnerships with World Learning and a number of great US-based nonprofit organizations, and through their partnerships with those amazing organizations around the world. When we obviously can't do people-to-people exchanges, we can't bring communities together, in this instance through sport. This is the next best way of keeping people connected. We certainly have been impacted by the global pandemic. We have been able to, or we've had to suspend a lot of our programming, both to the US and sending Americans overseas. We have a very robust global sports mentorship program that brings adapted sports personnel to the US for a month-long mentorship program. That has been able to shift to a virtual platform. So we're trying to do this as much as we can with a number of our programs. So it's great to see Vlad and Anna and others putting on this great seminar. Obviously, we want things to get back to normal as soon as possible and to keep everyone healthy. That's first and foremost the most important thing on our standpoint, or from our standpoint, is to make sure everyone's healthy. We do know it's going to take some time to get back to quote unquote normal. It's going to take some time for the airlines to begin flying. It's going to take time for our colleagues at the U.S. embassies and U.S. consulates overseas to begin issuing visas. So that's all going to play into how soon we get back to doing programming. But again, if we can keep doing these virtual programs, that really helps kind of keep everyone engaged. There's been so many great examples of using sports as a way to engage communities, keep people active. We as a division are doing a webinar series that we're going to start next week called Get Fit. It's going to be a virtual program, question and answer sessions, some physical engagement. And we're starting out next week with a U.S. Paralympic athlete, Deja Young, and she'll help us kind of kick off that session. So I will share that information with all of you once we have that and the platform that we're using. But again, thank you all for doing this. Again, it's great to reconnect with most of you or connect with you if I haven't met you yet. So thank you, Vlad and Anna and Laurel and everyone else from World Learning for putting this on, as well as the amazing speakers that you all have lined up.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm still trying to figure out if Ryan is a Washington Capitals fan in hockey or any other team.
So I grew up a New York Rangers fan. It's just where I grew up going to those games. But I've been in the DC area for about 16 years. So they're my default team. And as Vlad said, I was lucky / unlucky. I was out in the LA area when all of this was really popping up in the US, and was able to see an Anaheim Ducks game on the Sunday. And then I was supposed to see a LA Kings game on the following Saturday. And unfortunately, they had to cancel the season when I was out in LA and didn't get to see the game. So obviously disappointed about that. So really happy to see when the leagues will start back up and people will be able to watch sports live again.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. So thank you for everything that you do for youth sports development worldwide, and we'll continue this webinar series. So Anna?
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, everybody. I want to thank my colleagues, Laurel and Aaron, Vlad, thank you for being here. And also I want to thank my colleagues from Digital Communication Network, Mr. Nikos Panayotou and Franak Viachorka. Thank you very much. And thanks everybody for being a part of our first sports webinar, and organized by World Learning and Digital Communication Network, and supported by Sports Diplomacy, a division of State Department. We will inform you about our next webinars soon. I want you, everybody, to be safe, stay in touch. And again, thanks for being with us, and hopefully we'll see you soon on our next webinars. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Bye.